Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. You're looking live at PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank Sean Kelly, voice of the Gators, for our introduction today. We got a good show lined up today. We'll have Buddy Martin from Gator Bait Media and the Buddy Martin Show. And then we're going to have Geoff Wilson, an entrepreneur, but big into sports cards investors. He's a big sports card guy, building a big one in Atlanta from Gainesville, graduated here. He's going to talk to us about all these money that people like Buddy Martin are selling these cards for. What a great investment they are. Buddy, good morning. You're on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. How you doing?
Good morning, Shane. I wish I had all those baseball cards I had when I was a kid. Everybody's mother gets accused of throwing the baseball cards out, don't they?
I still have them, but, it depends on what years and all this nonsense. So I like telling people this story. So, my mom was an English teacher in the public school system in Mississippi. My dad was a coach AD. So for every A in every class I made, I would, up until like high school, I would get a box of cards, a box, not a package, a whole box.
A full set, a full set.
Buddy, I didn't make a B until I was like a senior in high school. So wow. I have so many damn cards. And I may have to come down here. And
do you have them?
Oh yeah, I still got them,
dude. You got that's worth some money.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why we're going to talk about all the money that he's making off selling cards. So
yeah,
they're in boxes somewhere. Greg wants to know: are we Cox free? You're damn right we are. We are now on the AT&T broadband or whatever it's called.
Wow.
It took the dude 5 hours to hook me up yesterday.
Yeah.
So we should have no more issues because the hell with Cox.
Great.
I hate Cox.
I know you do. I have to deal with them here a lot. So I got all kind of, I pay them a fortune every month. Bring my TVs and my streaming.
Yeah. You got to go to YouTube TV, buddy.
I'm on YouTube, but I have to have more than that. I have other people who like to watch TV here. So.
All right. If you missed it last night, the Bucks kind of laid an egg against the Eagles. They played well. Cincinnati beats. They get off the Schneid. They win their first game. And Andy has a question brought to you by Melton Law on Facebook Live. As a former Bengal, what did you think of Cincinnati's all white? I think they wore them last year. I mean, they're all right. I was only there 1 year, so I'm not a huge fan of their uniforms.
Dude, I was thinking about you this morning. I was thinking about you. I'm thinking, I said last night to Brendan, when it comes to quarterbacks, my man is Shane Matthews, who played this game at the highest level, who played for 6 NFL teams and coached pro ball. Now tell me somebody more qualified to talk about quarterbacks than you. I'm just saying, Shane, it's true. I'm not trying to kiss your butt or get you to give any of that stuff in those barrels, whatever that is back there.
We're Kentucky bourbon. That's what that is.
Okay. All right. I'll take some.
I mean, I try to tell people I don't know a whole lot about what goes on in the world, but I feel like I know quarterback play.
Yes, you do.
And sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Real quick, buddy, let's get to a couple of these texts on the Titan Tomorrow text line. Edgar's not on today. He wanted me to ask Edgar why he only got ET only got 8 carries Saturday. It says, do you agree he's our biggest home run threat? Do you agree he needs 15 touches against? He needs to touch the ball. I agree with that.
I got a theory on that. I got a theory when you get ready for it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and he says, do you notice anything different with Montreal not running with as much authority, or at least it looks that way? Now, he got kind of dinged up the other day, but they alternate series. But I would think ETN gets a little bit more. All right, here we go. This is from Ryan on the Titan Tomorrow text line. It says, good morning, Shane. I know it's become common practice for you to say we need to take a shot right here during the broadcast when you see coverage that dictates such. But for your own sake, I sure hope they got your internet figured out, because I'm worried you may take a shot at one of those Cox cable dudes. Yeah, very true. By the way, I agree with you on wanting to see a few more long balls. I love Johnson ETN, but Florida definitely has a QB now that we can trust taking a deep shot, and wide receivers, they'll go get it. I think we'll see a few more deep balls in Lexington. Thanks for the text, Ryan. I hope so. All right, what were you going to say, buddy?
All right, two
Before I
things. I
interrupt
agree,
you?
I agree with Ryan, by the way, first of all, on that. I think this team has got some good players, and I think this wide receivers, you're not even seeing the really great ones yet. There's some kids you're going to see that are going to knock your socks off. And they do have a good running game. I don't get too excited about ETN. I have a theory that maybe he was dinged a little bit, maybe. And the other thing was they wanted Montreal to get a little time, and they figured they would not use him as much. I don't have a problem with that. That often happens on football teams, But ETN will be there. He'll be fresh. And look, I said this last night. I said again, I think you're going to beat Kentucky. Good offense is good, and the quarterback is really good. Shane, he's really good. Like you've been saying, he's really good. Okay, and I think this football, he is very good. I mean, look, you made a statement last night. I'm going to call you out on it right now. You said that Graham Mertz has a stronger arm than you or the Heisman Trophy winner Danny Werfel. You said that on my show.
I'd say I think he has a stronger arm than Tebow as well.
Wow.
That doesn't mean anything, though. Doesn't mean, but he throws a very catchable football. He knows where to go with. He's accurate. Too many people get enamored with arm strength. And here's what's going to happen, though, buddy. We're probably going to call a deep shot Saturday, and he's going to underthrow it. How many times have we all underthrown a ball? That doesn't have anything to do with arm strength. But he's a really good player. I've been beating the drum for a long time, and we got to use him this week and go play. Buck says, I honestly feel like we'll be 6-1 going into Jacksonville. I'm going to be very, very disappointed, almost as disappointed as I was at the performance at Utah if we're not 6-1.
Man, you're calling it, man. That's a bold statement right there. That's a bold statement.
We're okay. But buddy, if you look at it, we have.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I was saying it's a bold statement.
Yeah, we can get ahead of ourselves because we're not playing in the game and we're not coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You got Kentucky, Vandy, South Carolina, and then bye week and then Georgia. I just said I'm gonna say it one more time: Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina. Does anybody out there really think those three teams are better than the Florida Gators?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, will they play better? I mean, there's things to overcome still. Billy was asked yesterday about, the snap count and problems with the line jumping. And he pointed out that was 2 years ago, not under his watch. They went to Commonwealth up there and got 18, whatever, a certain number of penalties. But it's the same thing. I don't know what it is. Obviously, I don't think Commonwealth's that loud when you compare it to every place else, but they had a bad game last year, 2 years ago under Mullen. But back to the statements that you made regarding that. You also said something else was kind of bold, not really bold, that Ricky Pearsall made the greatest catch you had ever seen anywhere on any level.
Yep.
Wow.
Again, that's just off the top of my head. I've been trying to think if I've seen any better. The only one that was unbelievable was a few years ago when Odell Beckham Jr. was playing for the Giants and caught one in the end zone, but which was amazing. But he didn't get hit. I mean, Ricky went up knowing he was going to get clobbered and got clobbered. They thought it was a targeting penalty. That's how hard he got hit, and he held on to the football. It's the best I've ever seen.
Okay. You say so. It's good enough for me.
Well, I mean, everybody has their own opinion, and they've seen other games. I'm just talking about what I have seen.
Shane, you've seen a lot of football.
I have, okay? And I just think Ricky Pearsall is a very good player. Ace has got a good comment here or question on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. What are my thoughts about, and yours too, buddy? What are our thoughts on the Oregon coach Dan Lanning's pregame talk to the team? I thought it was outstanding.
Didn't see it. Didn't see it.
Well, he just basically said, we're going out here and we're going to let our helmets talk. We're not here to worry about clicks and all that stuff. Look, we all knew. I mean, if you watch football, did anybody really think Colorado had a chance to even be close in that game? I thought it was going to be blowout city. Colorado's a great story. Deion's great for college football. Deion that team right there would not win a game if it was not for their quarterback. He had no chance against Oregon because Oregon's just that much better. We'll see. They got the Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. He'll throw for a bunch of yards this week as well.
Well, I mean, look, we all bought into the dream. I still love Dion. I love the story. I think it's great. And when you start dreaming, anything is possible. You know that you're taught that by the HBC, and I think that's what we're looking for. Now, Oregon is really, really good and fast. And they're fundamentally sound. And Urban told me they might get boat race. He said, I fear what may happen to them. But it's still a good story, and I love the story. And I think they'll have hey, the over under was 3 wins, right? For Colorado's in pretty good shape there.
Yeah, for sure. If they win another one, got to win one more, buddy.
Oh, come on, Shane.
Well, they should beat Stanford. Stanford is so bad. I want to see Stanford and Vanderbilt play or somebody. Here's a text on the Titan MR text line from Jerome. He says, Shane, will you be on Inside the Huddle today with Coach Spurrier? And what time does that program start? It's 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Me, him, and Steve Russell on WRUF ESPN.
Good show. Good show.
Yeah, we have fun doing it. G wants to know, do I think Tennessee will be in trouble against South Carolina? The game's in Knoxville. Should be a fun one to watch. I don't know what time they
QB
play.
is hurt.
Who is?
Hurt. Tennessee's quarterback.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, that may be a good thing for Tennessee if they put in the Lama Leva guy.
Yeah, who's so? I don't know the status, but I think he went for MRI yesterday. I'm not sure what happened. He's
you don't know what it is?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Greg from Fort Myers on the Titan MR text line says, Shane, I need the Gators to prove to me that they can win on the road. All the motions that they do pre-snap is tough to operate in crowd noise. I agree. And we did that even in Utah. And it fascinates me that we don't screw that stuff up. I don't know how. I have no idea. Chris from Cottondale, looking ahead to next year, do you think Mertz takes a big step forward next year, assuming he comes back and is able to be better and have Billy's confidence to carry the offense more?
Let's worry about this year, Shane.
Yeah.
Next year, take care of itself.
So I will say this. I spoke briefly with Billy after the first or second practice I went to in the summer. And I just said, hey, man, your quarterback's pretty good. He's like, he just laughed at me. He goes, he's real good and he's fun to coach. That's what made me think that they were going to let him go play. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm thinking that's just not who Billy is. He is who he is, but Mertz is who I thought he was going to be. I would like to see us go use him more. On YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, North Florida Bear says Trask was so good at throwing people open. Need more QBs with intelligence, not athleticism.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Andy says Heupel expects Milton to play against South Carolina.
Yeah.
It was a left knee injury.
Okay. Andy always knows everything.
Okay. John, this is a good question. I want you to answer this one, buddy. He says, why is the Gator Nation so divided on their thoughts on Billy Napier?
That's a great question. I wish I knew the answer to that. I would like to say that some people are enlightened and some are not so much, but that's kind of cruel. I don't get it. Maybe sometimes I see things and I wonder, and I'm convinced it's right, and I hear the opposite online of people. I don't know what they want. What do they expect? This is not a great football team. If he can get 8 wins out of this season, he should be coach of the year without question.
Here's what fans should be ecstatic about. When you look at this football team compared to last year's team, buddy,
Miles,
the talent is like night and freaking day.
Yeah.
It's not even close. I told somebody yesterday, maybe it was on Steve's show that I go on Mondays. Defensively, they are better at every position on defense this year than they were last year.
Aren't they number one in the league in defense now or something?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. But I'm saying every position. I'm talking the left defense tackle, right defense tackle, the corner, the safety, the linebacker. They're better across the board at every position. So trust the process. Real quick, I wanted to touch on this one. where did it go? Somebody was asking about Kamari Wilson. We still have not heard
I'd like
anything.
to know more about that. I don't know
Well,
what
I
exactly
know
what
he was
happened.
escorted off the sideline in the second or quarter or halftime. He did not come with the team. He came late. There were pictures of him tailgating with people. So look, it may be time to cut bait, quite honestly.
Transfer
Because
portal.
that's perfectly fine. The other guys are better than him. It's that fact. I don't care if he was a 5-star. The other guys are better than him, and you can't have people disrupting your team. And Billy will handle it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But this team chemistry is very good on this team. And sometimes if somebody is rubbing people the wrong way, you got to just say, hey, we wish you well, we'll help you, but we don't want you in our building.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's going to happen. That's what I would do if it's bad. I assume it's bad because um it just has to be.
You don't get
Uh,
escorted off the field unless there's something wrong, Shane.
well, he didn't come with the so supposedly the rumors are people saw him tailgating with people. He did not go like so when you're injured or not on the travel squad, you have to be in the locker room, and then when the team runs out of the tunnel, you stand on the sidelines in your jersey and shorts
With the
with the rest of
team.
your teammates.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. He came out on his own. Supposedly, I don't know. I'm busy doing that. Just is what I heard. Um, like either late second quarter, and then so supposedly some personnel people walked him right back into the locker
You
room.
need
So
me to be up there helping you spot those things, Shane. I'll come up to rescue you so I can watch the stuff like that.
yeah, yep, for sure.
Or better yet, an intern.
1966 HBC beer available at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Gator Games in the Swamp, and select retail outlets. Crisp American Lager. That's 1966 HBC beer. We got Buddy Martin on the Titan More hotline. We're going to have Geoff Wilson from Sports Cards Investors for all our people that like football, baseball cards.
Shane, you
Big
never
money.
know what things are worth. Let me give you an
I
example.
know it is. Somebody told me the other day, like Tua's rookie card now is like off the chart. So he's going to tell you, it used to be collecting cards.
Yeah.
Now it's all about investing in cards
Investing,
and
really.
making a lot of money.
Wow.
So
I'm for that. I just want to say one little small thing. It's not a card. I was doing a show back in the day at Ocala, the Florida Sports Talk, and I was talking about some of the things I'd seen and been covered, whatever. And I got a call from a guy who said, "Did you say you had a media pin from Super Bowl III?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know what that thing is worth?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "That's then. Now, this is talking 30 years ago. That thing is worth $2,000. I said, "Get out of here." No, I said, "Yes, it is worth $2,000. I'll send you the clipping." He sent me the clipping, and sure enough, in 1997, it was worth $2,000. And now I don't know how much it's worth. But I mean, you'd better look in your closet and see what you got because there's some things in there that are valuable. Shane, you probably got $50,000 worth of cards there.
yeah, could be. Van Der says, Shane, if you don't know what the reason is, then why spread such vicious rumors? They ain't rumors.
Wait. No,
They ain't
that's not.
rumors.
No, that's out there. But
Yeah, he is not on the depth chart. He was not with his team. Uh, he wiped off his Instagram or whatever, Twitter. Those are facts.
gone.
He's not as good as the other players that are playing. Those are
All right.
facts.
Okay.
Right. Tommy in Gainesville. If Florida is to be back from with a dominant program, we need to beat Kentucky, Vandy, and South Carolina combined 90-40.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, that would be great, but you can still get back and just win the game.
That's the problem with fans set expectations for scores and of games. Your team didn't win every game big. I know some Spurrier teams struggled at Vanderbilt, almost lost.
Yeah. Do people realize we won the SEC East the first year in 1992? We beat South Carolina. I think it was 14-9 was the score, if I'm not mistaken. Kevin from Punta Gorda. People are skewed from the 12 years he was here and the 6 years of Urban Meyer. Yeah. Other than that, Florida played like they're playing right now.
Only two of the greatest football programs in the history of the game. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, they had a lot of really great players.
Yes.
Kevin from Punta Gorda. Guys, what was all that happened around the timeouts and Austin Armstrong running on the field? I was at the game, was baffled. He obviously thought we had a timeout. We didn't. I thought it was a penalty if you call timeout. Like in
I did
basketball, if you
too.
call timeout, you
Basketball,
get a tech.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so I
Another bad decision. There's some kind of process need to be fixed down there, Shane. I mean, like someone said last night, he needs to get one of those shirts that says, I can count to 5, I can count to 11, or whatever. There's got to be something mentally on the wrong on the sideline where the people who are supposed to be charting who's in, who's not, are not getting the job done. And that's embarrassing. We've seen it happen. Two players on the field, the same number, wrong
well
number of players. They've
that
had wrong guys out twice. They've had 10 guys on the field for
yes,
extra
and
point.
that is a coaching problem,
It
but
is.
it's also a player problem,
Well,
buddy.
let's get it fixed.
It's a player problem. They have to be responsible adults to know what their assignments are, what teams they are on,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm a backup to this guy. Pay attention to what's going on in the football game. It goes both ways. This is a text on the Titan Tomorrow text line. QB, do you think coaches, in our case Billy, slow play some games like McNeese and Charlotte on purpose to hide things or only show certain things or to work on specific formation plays and sets? Yeah, I know. I mean, that does happen. I don't know if we do that. Um, but yes, for sure. All right, buddy. I lost my train of thought. Okay, Gators are
I
getting ready to
guess.
go to Kentucky. Gators have
Yep.
not played in Lexington very well the last
Mm-hmm.
couple of years. None of that matters. It's a
Mm-hmm.
12 o'clock game. I think it will help us. Just your thoughts on this game coming up with the
Well, I
Wildcats.
heard Graham Mertz on TV yesterday in the program you hate to talk about, but I heard him and I listened to him real close. He was asked those questions about 12 o'clock games, et cetera, et cetera. He made a good point. You start working on that during the week of practice. You don't wait till you get there. You mentally start getting yourself prepared for the fact you're playing an early game. And Billy said, I don't care what time we play. I just want to win. I know it's the thing. People look hung up on that. There is something to the fact that don't seem to don't be ready sometimes at noon. I think that's a fixable problem. I don't expect this team to go lay an egg the first quarter. I think they'll come out sharp. They came out sharp now against Charlotte. I love that drive against Charlotte. They had red zone problems later. I get it. I understand. It's kind of a myth about that because of the time of the game. You're going to lose. I don't believe that, but it's something that's fixable, and I expect it to be fixed this week.
Yeah, I think they'll play well. I think it doesn't matter what happens. I don't care what the score is. Go find a way
Mm-hmm.
to win the football
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Text on the Titan Tomorrow text line from Larry. He says, buddy, can you please let me know how I can get involved with Gator Bait Media?
Sure. Send me an email.
Well, I
Buddy
guess
Martin Show at
yeah, he may be,
gmail.com.
I don't really know what his text meant. Maybe how he can subscribe. Maybe that's what he's
Subscribe or
asking.
maybe write. But sure, we're open to that. We're Shane. Let me just say, we're a small company or a family company. My son and I run it together. We need all the help we can get, and we're getting some great help from a lot of people. So yeah, we would like to welcome it. Again, my email address, the Buddy Martin Show at gmail.com. Write me if you want to subscribe or you want to get involved in it. You want to write for us. I'd like to one day to get Shane to write an article, but he ain't going to do it. But
My
one day,
grammar will be outstanding. I'll be a terrible writer, but
you won't be
my
a terrible
grammar is
writer.
outstanding.
Hey, you think, look, I know how to fix your stuff. I've hundreds of athletes and people I've helped write stuff. Okay. Shane, I can make you look good, man. You don't need me to do that, but I can make that. I got to get you to write something for it. Promise me this that you'll write one article before the season's over. Okay.
All right, I'll do that.
I'll give it back to you to approve it once I edit it. All right. It's
Yep.
fun. Hey, the HBC, I wrote his columns for years when he played for the Pro Bowl. It was called, what's it called? Shoot, I'll think of it in a minute. He'll hate me for this. He loved the title of it. Oh, anyway, he did it for 2 years. I wrote his columns. So, yeah, we can do that. And please write me. Passing thoughts. Passing thoughts. That's the first thing he said to me when he came back to Florida. Passing thoughts. Passing thoughts. He remembered it. Yeah. So, yeah, please write me. BuddyMartinShow at gmail.com. You also can subscribe just by going to GatorBaitMedia.com. Pick out a plan and sign up. I think you'll like it. Our guys do a really good job.
Joseph says we kick a field goal on 4th and 1 against Charlotte on their side of the field, but he'll go for it against Kentucky on 4th and 6 from our own 20. Decision making's all over the place. Somebody asked him about that yesterday in his press conference.
Mhm.
He's strictly an analytical coach.
Yes, he
He
is.
goes by analytics. Whatever
Yeah,
it says, he's going to
right.
do. So you just got to deal with it. Steven says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Mertz was on Feinbaum yesterday and did a great job. Paul treated him very well. I don't watch Paul Feinbaum, but I Feinbaum was trashing Graham Mertz all
I know,
summer
but
long.
here's the thing of it. He makes a point here. And I think this is the point. Forget about hating Feinbaum. Mertz has earned that respect. He's earned the
Well,
respect of people. And we
maybe
talk
Mertz
about
should have told him, "I don't want to go on your show."
why would he do that?
Why
Why?
wouldn't he?
Why would that help? That wouldn't hurt. Listen, a lot of people saw Graham Mertz yesterday in a good light. That's a good thing. It's a good vehicle for him. I don't know why people have opinions. There was one guy who wrote for Saturday Down South who ranked him 14th as a quarterback in the SEC. The people owe Graham Mertz an apology. I'm sorry. You have been right on the whole time, Shane. And dudes who think they know about how quarterbacks should play, they don't. Guess what? They don't. They're guessing.
Um, Andy has a question for you. I'm trying to get a cord here. Buddy, what's your opinion of having a jumbo package for short yardage? Maybe putting an extra offensive lineman in the backfield. Our QB sneaks are weak.
Maybe. I mean, everybody's got a jumbo package already. He's got one. His jumbo package is already in the game. I don't know what it is down there, but Shane, I liked your comment yesterday. You don't wait till you get to the 10-yard line to start.
No.
You start at the 30. Throw it deep from the 30. Don't wait to get down there because, as you say, it gets crowded down there. I think that's exactly right. Spread it out. HPC would spread it out. Let's see something. Let's run a jet sweep or something, or throwback pass or something before you get down there. It makes it easier when you do get a chance to score a touchdown. That's my theory.
Yeah. Usually quarterback sneaks are better when you sneak up on somebody. I don't
And
like
quick.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
All right. Before we get you out here, there was Greg talks about when it's noon, you can't tailgate and get your drink on. Mark Stoops says he trusts the Kentucky faithful to drink a bunch of beers.
I love that. That was a great quote from Mark. Yeah, that was funny. I think they'll be happy. I like noon games sometimes. I don't like night games. Shane, we've had too many night games. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow to Saturday. What's today? Saturday. I'm ahead of myself to seeing that noon game and seeing them beat the Kentucky Wildcats, which they will do. And Shane, what would the record be?
4-1.
Oh, wait a minute. That's not what the experts said. Something wrong with that, dude.
We still got to go out and win the ball game. Clint says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, we should be 6-1 going to the Georgia game. But what I really want to see is us having success and winning games in November.
Well, of course we do. We want to see them win every game. That's just not the real world. I'm happy this team is winning now. I think they'll win more. And as someone said earlier, they got good dudes in the backfield, a good quarterback, good offensive line, good wide receivers. They got the power there, man. And their tight ends are playing well. So I like their offensive unit and the defensive with the guys they got playing in the middle. I mean, those linebackers are terrific. So I'm optimistic. And this team, and I think this point was made by Brendan last time when you were on. He's right. I'd rather have a team getting better every week and not peaking too soon. They could be peaking at just the right time. Beat Kentucky. There's a whole other thing ahead of you now. Just get better every week, Shane.
Yep, Buck, I agree 100% what Buck says on Facebook here. He says, this thing keeps moving on me. I need somebody to show me how to do this.
Intern.
He says, as big as the UT game was for Billy and this group, this UK game is much bigger. He's 1-6 in the last 7 road games. I think this one is big. Well, it is because I mean you'll be 2-0 in the East, and you got all your goals right ahead of you. So gotta win this game for sure. Alan says, have you heard the rumor of Stetson Bennett facing problems from drinking? He claims he learned the habit in college. Yeah, I think it's all documented. Stetson has had some issues there. And he's a good player. Hopefully he gets his life straight.
Yep.
And everybody wants to know, I'm going to ask you this, buddy. Everybody asks, is Austin Armstrong the best move of the all season?
Maybe. We'll see. Maybe. I like it so far.
You could also throw Graham Mertz in there.
I would say so.
But here's the thing. I think Austin Armstrong is a star in the making. I love him. I love his demeanor. I like how he calls stuff. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are better at every position on defense than we were last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure anybody on that team last year could be playing right now. Think about that.
Wow.
I mean, can you name somebody?
I'd have to think about it.
Ventrell.
Well, they're running the same
player.
Running backs that we have this year, of course.
Well, I'm talking about defensively.
Yeah,
I'm just talking defense on. I would say maybe Ventrell Miller, but he was so banged up all the time.
Yeah,
and I don't think he doesn't run like these young guys. But I don't think anybody else would see the field as a starter, personally.
Interesting.
So
yeah, well, that was a good move. Let's don't forget Coach Billy G. I think he was a great addition too.
Yeah, for sure. Antonio, real quick before we get you out of here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Deployment. I like Mertz a lot. However, the Love Fest is confusing. We have yet to score 30 against the FBS team, but here we're killing the QB in offense, and they're averaging 30. I don't know what he's talking about.
I understand that.
He is running the offense. The points aren't there. I agree with that, but a lot of it is because we're not dialing up anything to throw it over their heads to score quickly.
Right.
We're very, very methodical in our approach, and
got to throw to get you got to throw to get the running game going. That's the key. Coach Spurrier knew that. So anyway, what comes first, the passing or the running? I think they'll be fine. The balance is good. The players are good. The play calling could be a little better in the red zone. Yes, there were some execution issues, but this team is still pretty young. I think their future's ahead of them. I like the way they're going. I think this team's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Regarding who would have started last year off last year's team, David says Gervon Dexter. I disagree. They're not real happy with him in Chicago. I do know that. But he would not play in front of Caleb Banks or Cam Jackson. They're much better players. Nothing against him. I'm just calling them as I see them.
All right.
Who you got on the program tonight?
It's David Whitley from the Gainesville Sun joins us, and our young intern, Kyle Curtis, who's really doing a great job for us. And Coach Lauren Meadows, your buddy, will be on tonight, along with Brendan Martin. Should be fun. Tune us in at 9 o'clock tonight on YouTube.
Good stuff, buddy. We appreciate your time, and we will see you next week, my man.
All right, Shane, thank you. Have a good trip.
All right, that's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. We come back. We're supposed to be joined by Geoff Wilson from Sports Cards Investors. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. We're going to go back to the Titan More text line. We're joined by Geoff Wilson, sports cards investors, entrepreneur, got all kinds of businesses, apps, whatever, but we're going to talk about sports cards. Back in my day. Good morning, Geoff. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning, Shane. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want you to explain, because this has become a huge industry. Back in my day, you used to collect them and trade them and things of that nature, but now it's more people are investing in these cards because they become worth so much money. Just talk about how you got started in this business.
Well, I did it as a kid. I know we were just talking about how you used to, get boxes of cards as a kid in the 80s. And I was the same way. I was big into it as a kid in the 80s, and collected a lot actually of Florida Gator cards. I got one of the first Shane Matthews cards here from 1993. And that was right around the end of the era that I was collecting as a kid. But I've got a lot of those, 80s and 90s Florida Gator cards and pro cards. And then I lost touch with it for many, many years. And then about 5 years ago, my oldest son, got to the age where he started to show a little bit of interest in cards. And so, I kind of got into it with him, and that brought back all the memories. But then I quickly realized cards are way different now, way different than they were back in the 80s, back in the 90s, back in the 70s. There's so many things different, and there's actually investment opportunity, business opportunity. There's a lot to it today that wasn't the case back then.
So we got a question here, Geoff from Rick on Facebook Live. He wants to know what the value of an FBI lanyard from a Super Bowl back in the day. Now, do you do all kind of collectibles or just mostly cards?
I do mainly cards, but there are, tickets, lanyards, that kind of thing. That's a big form of collectible that's been emerging as well. And one thing that's different now than 30 years ago when you were doing it as a kid, Shane, and I was doing it, is now authentication and grading is a huge part of it. So there's really big companies that all they do is you can send them cards, you can send them memorabilia, you can send them, lanyards, tickets, that kind of thing, and they'll authenticate it. And then they'll also assess the condition of it. And then they'll put it into what's called a slab. They'll seal it in a plastic case with a label that says, this is authentic, here's the quality grade of it. And that makes a big difference. These days people are looking to buy cards, if they're valuable ones, if they're investment pieces, cards, memorabilia, whatever it may be, they're looking to buy it that has been authenticated, that has been assessed, that has been graded. So something like that, an FBI badge for Super Bowl, what I would probably do with it myself if I had that is I would send it off to PSA, which is the biggest of the authenticators, and have them actually authenticate it and put it in a slab. And that actually will increase the value of it if you ever want to do anything with it down the road.
Damn, my storage unit probably has so much stuff in it that's probably been ruined because it's not been sealed or whatever. All right, so you have two apps that you have, right? Thousands of members and subscribers. Talk about those two apps.
We do. So for people just curious about cards and, the different cards, the different players that are out there right now, if you want to go look through hundreds of different Tim Tebow cards, for example, you can download the Sports Card Investor app. It's a free app in the App Store. It's totally free. And it gives you a look at what all the different cards are and current values. And it has all kinds of cards ranging back to the 1800s. You could look up your card collection from the 80s or the 70s or whatever year you might have a collection from, and it's going to be in the Sports Card Investor app. And then if you get a little more serious about it and you actually think, are looking at saying, hey, I actually want to track the value of my collection. I want to look for maybe some cards, some more significant cards that maybe I want to put some money into and have it as an alternative investment for the long run. Then our second app, which is called Market Movers, that's what that's for. So that's for the more serious collector or investor. It's a paid app, but it gives you all kinds of data. You can look up the price of any sports card that has sold online in the last few years. It's got just all kinds of really helpful data so you can understand what your collection's worth, what cards are going for, which ones are going up and down. That one's called Market Movers.
Andy's got a good question on here, brought to you by Meldon Law. He says, Geoff, does a player's autograph add value to a card or not?
Well, that's a great question. Generally, it will, but you have to have it, assuming it's a noteworthy player, that there would be some value in people wanting to collect that player. You have to have it authenticated. So once again, you're going to want to, probably send that card off to PSA. There's also other companies that do it, like Beckett, BGS. But SGC does grading, JSA does autographs. But most people would go to PSA and they're going to authenticate the autograph and they're going to put it in a slab that says this autograph is authentic, and that will generally help. So some people prefer cards without autographs. They like the pristine nature of them, but generally, an autograph is going to help a card's value.
Interesting. You also do a podcast on YouTube, correct?
I do. Yeah. It's called Sports Card Investor, where we have a podcast. We have YouTube is our main platform. And then of course, social media as well. So we do everything under the Sports Card Investor name. So anyone who's curious about it, every Tuesday, we do an episode of the 5 hottest players in the sports card market whose cards have all gone up over the course of the last month. And as you can imagine, it's football heavy right now. This past Tuesday, the top 5, number 1 was Tua, as you might expect. And you've got guys like Brock Purdy, whose cards have been extremely hot this season. Then you see guys like Justin Fields, whose cards have dropped in value by more than half just since the season started. So, we're talking 3 weeks, and Justin Fields cards are worth half of what they were 3 weeks ago. So it's actually a very dynamic market, and people don't realize that some of these cards, even of these, new modern players, can be worth thousands or tens of thousands, or in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I just brought, coming off the win last night, I grabbed one of my, bigger Joe Burrow cards. And the reason why these cards are worth so much money in some cases is because they're serial numbered. And this is one of Joe Burrow's rookie cards. This is from one of the big sets called Select. And this is a gold. You can see it's gold in color. And on the back of the card, it's serial numbered, card number 2 of 10. So what that means is that there was only 10 of these cards ever printed, ever made. So if you want one of these, this is considered one of Joe Burrow's best cards. And so if you want, to collect Joe Burrow's very best, most rare, highest end cards, then this is going to be one of them. So this is probably a $10,000 to $15,000 card. But it's going to be largely dictated, the value of it's going to be largely dictated by how Joe Burrow plays this season. If he got off to a rough start, so the value of the card's probably a little less today than it was a few weeks ago. Now, thankfully, he won last night. If they look good the rest of the season, if they end up in the AFC title game again, then that card will maintain its value or possibly increase in value if he gets to the Super Bowl. Whereas if they kind of fall short and have a disappointing season, that card's likely going to decrease in value. So the modern cards like that fluctuate a lot. Whereas your vintage cards, this is the most iconic sports card of all time, the 1952 Mickey Mantle card. These cards tend to be very stable over the course of the long term. They don't fluctuate in value as much, but they tend to be stable and, kind of collector's items that many people lock away in safes.
So what could you sell that Mickey Mantle for today?
That one, this is a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. The condition of that is an SGC 3. So that means it's graded on a scale of 10. It has a grade of a 3, which for most cards, that would be very low. If you have a Joe Burrow card and it's graded a 3, the card's going to be worth very little because that would be a really bad grade. But for an old card, like a 52 Mantle, there's so few of them that, exist and that have made it through time without blemish, right? Many of these were shoved in bike spokes and all that kind of stuff. So a 3 is actually still very valuable for an old card like this. This one in particular is worth about $75,000.
Wow. So we had a couple of people that want to know what is the most valuable piece of card or memorabilia that you've ever handled?
Yeah. So the most valuable sports card of all time is this same exact 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card in a PSA 10, which is a perfect score. There are 3 of them that exist in the world in a PSA 10 condition. And I've seen 2 of the 3 in person. One of the 3 I actually did a whole video with. I got to handle it and really examine the card. And the price estimates on that vary, but most people think that card would sell for anywhere between about $30 and $50 million if that particular copy were to go on sale. None of the PSA 10s has sold in many years, so it's hard to say. But a PSA 9 sold for, or I should say a 9.5, an SGC 9.5 sold for a little over $12 million. So the PSA 10s are, a level above a 9.5 grade. And so, they're going to command a significant premium over that 9.5, which sold for 12 million. So I think 30 million is definitely, realistic, and maybe as high as 50 million for the card. But if anyone's curious to see that card and learn the history of it, I did a whole video about it on our Sports Card Investor YouTube. If you search for the most valuable sports card of all time, and on our Sports Card Investor channel, you'll see that video.
Yeah, that's just absolutely nuts. So let me ask you this. I'm sure you go to card shows or whatever, but if somebody wants to get started in this, I know back in the day you got excited like I did when I was a kid. I'd buy my parents would buy me a box, and then you open them all up. I also heard that it was better not to open the packages. Is it better to buy sets, or you just try to invest in that one player that might make you some money on down the road?
If you're actually, caring about the dollars and cents and would like to have a collection that has some value and maybe continues to increase in value over the long term, you're best off buying individual cards of all-time great players. If you want to prospect on some of the guys currently playing, you can, but you got to keep in mind that out of every generation, of players, there's only a small handful that their cards really maintain a lot of value long-term. So right now, if you look at like the young quarterbacks, there's a lot of interest. There's the cards of Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, even some of the younger guys like, Jordan Love and, Justin Fields and, all these guys, obviously, Burrow, Herbert is another big one, right? All of these guys and more, there's a lot of people buying all their cards. I didn't even mention Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or, there's so many quarterbacks from like the last 5 or 6 seasons. And what's going to happen is that of all of those quarterbacks, there's probably only a couple whose cards will really have value 30 or 40 years from now, right? So if you're buying those younger guys, you are taking a risk. You're taking a chance. You got to pick the right one who's really going to go on and have that all-time great career. It's safer to buy the guys whose careers are obviously already established. You're talking guys who are already considered all-time greats. And what you want to do is you want to buy the individual cards. You want to buy them graded. Know the value of the cards. Use the Sports Card Investor app or use the Market Movers app to understand, what a fair price is, so you're not overpaying or getting ripped off. But buy a nice quality rookie card of a good player that's graded, and you can hold on to that, and generally you'll do pretty well. Buying boxes and opening boxes is fun, but 9 times out of 10, the content of what you get out of the box is less valuable than what you paid for the box. It's a little bit like a slot machine pull in Vegas. Occasionally, you'll open up a box and you'll get the really, amazing, valuable card that, pays for your next 5 boxes. But most of the time you end up not with great cards.
What's the most popular sport, or does it matter? It's all about the player, right? I would think those.
It's interesting that has varied a lot, and it's really driven by who the young star players are at that moment. So if you go back 3 or 4 years ago, the sports card industry was really dominated by basketball. And there was all of this excitement around Luka Doncic, Trae Young. Then the following year, Zion Williamson, Ja Morant. And then the following year, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards. And those guys really, there was so much excitement around them that basketball cards were outselling football and baseball by a lot. It's changed significantly in the last couple of years. Now football is your most popular. And the reason why is because some of those names of the basketball players I just mentioned, they've they have, none of them have really gotten to the championship level. And meanwhile, the last couple of basketball rookie classes haven't been as exciting. On the other hand, the last few football rookie classes, other than this very past year, they have been exciting. You had that class a couple of years ago where you had 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round, headlined by Trevor Lawrence. That was exciting, right? And then the year before is when you had Burrow, you had Justin Herbert, you had Tua, you had Jordan Love. Kyle Trask was that year as well, right? So, or Kyle Trask was actually, I guess, the Trevor Lawrence year. But you've had a lot of good, exciting quarterbacks over the last few years, and that's kind of surged football in popularity. Baseball is always popular as well. And this year, baseball got a big benefit from Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani has really driven the baseball card market in a real positive direction this year. Obviously, now, unfortunately, his season's over, so things are starting to soften a bit in baseball. But it was a good year for baseball cards overall as well.
All right, last thing, and this is very intriguing to me. I got to go digging into my storage unit today now. Gators. I would assume Emmett being the all-time leading rusher in the National Football League, he's probably the most popular Gator card, worth the most, or no?
So what's interesting is some of it also comes down to what era the player played and what the cards from that era are worth. So unfortunately, Emmett came out during a time when the cards were all very overproduced. Most cards from the 80s and 90s are not very valuable because of the fact that there were so many of them printed, and they were not doing things like serial numbering the cards like they do today. So if Emmett had come out in a different era, his cards would have been a lot more valuable. But in the era that he came out, he doesn't have that many valuable cards, surprisingly. There's a lot of Tim Tebow cards which have outsold, Emmitt Smith's best cards by a factor of magnitude, several times more valuable. Tebow is still very collectible, even though he's not playing. A lot of people collect Tebow. On the older side, there's a lot of interest in Spurrier's cards. A lot of people like the vintage cards. I've got an old Spurrier rookie card, graded Spurrier rookie card. And those can be very valuable because people like collecting the old cards, particularly if they're in a high grade. Those are going to be valuable. But we might see this year, we might actually see the all-time Gator card value record set probably by Anthony Richardson. His cards will probably end up becoming the most valuable of any Gator player ever as his cards continue to come out over the course of this year. And the reason why is because he was a very high draft pick, and the cards now, his one-of-one card, for example, from one of the top sets, that's going to definitely do tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Geoff, this is awesome. Let everybody know before we let you go again how they can look at your podcast, do all your apps, and get more information about card investing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called Sports Card Investor. And we do 4 YouTube shows a week on the Sports Card Investor channel on YouTube. And also grab that Sports Card Investor app in the App Store. It's free. And it's a fun way to, look up card prices and see just a whole bunch of cards. And if people out there listening have a bunch of cards in their closet, they can get the Sports Card Investor app and see what they're all worth.
Good stuff as always. Appreciate it, my man. Really appreciate your time. I learned a lot, and I'm anxious to go see what